It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Well, you can see in that sharp interactive board, I got Norm McConaughey, and Norm heads up MPS Toolbox, the leading e-commerce platform for the industry. And folks, I brought Norm on today because, the power of social media is powerful. And as I'm looking at some of the comments that I see on some of Norm's posts and just in general in our industry, there just seems to be a lack of willingness to do whatever it takes to succeed. And I want to share my thoughts on that with Norm. Norm, how are you doing, man? It's great to have you on.
I'm great, Ray. Thanks for having me back.
Well, Norm, we were talking a little bit ago, and it's just frustrating to me because a lot of our friends want to do things that are progressive. They want to get into e-commerce. Maybe they want to get into IT services. But for a long time, they've been courted by these alternative solutions, by people that are more focused on keeping these dealers comfortable. They're translating progress into the language of comfort, and it's just absurd when you think about it. And I'm thinking to myself, here's a guy that started an e-commerce platform over a decade ago, and you came out of the DCA technologies, and you had to completely reinvent yourself. But more importantly, you had to be a damn entrepreneur and go where the customer was going and pay the price to get there. And I want you to share a little bit of that start of your whole e-commerce plight of MPS Toolbox, and share that story so maybe our friends can understand there is no easy button.
Yeah, you just took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say there is an easy button. We all want to press it, but it doesn't exist. So yeah, like obviously having pioneered remote monitoring and having built from the ground up Printfleet. When I sold my interest in Printfleet in 2009, I was a sworn advocate of remote monitoring and the value of what that looked like. And I felt that from a managed print perspective, that would take over the world. It didn't make any sense that people would be doing all this hard work trying to figure out what supplies they needed, what printers they needed, etc. But, having spent 7 or 8 years on the remote monitoring side, I started to see that a couple things were happening. One was there was a lot of data there, but the dealerships typically only wanted the data to keep score and track and manage some of the assets that they already manage. And 80% of those devices were not being managed by, let's say, the people in our print and imaging channel. And those customers, the big end users, they were buying those products elsewhere. And what we started to see was they were buying those via e-commerce. Mm-hmm. So the value proposition, a decade ago, 15 years ago for print and it being difficult, you need to manage it, and MPS is the future, it's the way. That turned out not to be the case. We started to see e-commerce and companies like CDW and Amazon and Office Depot and Staples start to really invest in that. And today, so there was no such thing as e-commerce for, rank and file dealers, smaller, $5 and $10 million dealers. There was no solution for them. So we set out to build it. And it's been certainly a process from there. Was that right? Did it turn out to be right? Well, happy to share some Amazon statistics from you. I posted last week that 91% of purchasers now have a preference to buy B2B purchasers, business, our customers prefer to buy online, and 1/3 of all those business to business technology transactions are happening on Amazon right now. So that's an important consideration to think, where are you today on that customer side? With MPS Toolbox, I can help provide the infrastructure, for you to have a good experience for your customers to buy online. But make no mistake, they're already buying online. Mm-hmm. Or to talk to a customer, they're not going to look at you when you say, I have a website and you can buy online. And you say, where have you been? I never knew such a thing was possible. No, they're going to say, I'm already doing that. Dude, I'm already buying from, Amazon and CDW, but doing it for 5 years. So now the question is, what do you got? Just because you brought a website, you told me you have one, I'm not going to run to your door and buy stuff. Why are you better? What can you do differently? And I think that in a nutshell is the problem that our industry is having with the adoption of e-commerce right now. Well, there's an investment in work that, in addition to the infrastructure, you got to really do your work and roll your sleeves up, and you got to pry that customer away from where they're buying today. And that's where the sales and your advantages, salespeople can come into play. But don't pretend if you don't do the work that, hey, I have e-commerce, it didn't work. It works. Mm-hmm. It's out there,
It works to the tunes of billions of dollars every single day when people click buy now. But, Norm, I just think it's more about our industry. And I don't know. I always say it's the biggest babysit industry in the world. In other words, the industry wants to get into new products. They love going to these meetings and, someone stand on stage and talk about the next greatest thing that's going to come into the marketplace. But then they got to have every single piece of directions to go and deliver it into the marketplace. I'm just like, what the hell happened to the entrepreneurism? What happened to someone saying that is cool as hell and I'm going to go implement it? And especially when they look all around themselves regarding e-commerce, you can't, hell, they're all buying stuff themselves through e-commerce. So they're looking all around them, all these billions of dollars being sold through the platforms, but yet they're still waiting for some directions on how to do it better, instead of just getting this thing deployed and then constantly improving on it. What? And I'm convinced it's because people that are trying to help them with e-commerce, and yeah, I'm passionate about what you do, and I pick the players that I believe are the best in the space. But what frustrates me is you have a lot of people that are pretending they're e-commerce people because they want to deliver some other print component. So they're getting into this business with buzzwords. I talked a little bit, not to beat them up too much, but I talked about key point intelligence yesterday. Now they're in the cybersecurity business, and pretty soon you're going to have to define what business are they really in. But when dealers are getting in bed with a diversification, they need to go to the experts.
Yeah.
And obviously, you got a proven track record. You've been doing this for over a decade. So would they are you seeing where they'd rather have more people talking to them in a language that makes them feel comfortable, that makes them better? Is that really a reality? I joke about it, but is it a reality?
No, I absolutely think it's a reality. I think that first of all, it's probably part of human nature. Mm-hmm. If I have two doors to open and one door, you got a guy saying, e-commerce is hard. You're going to have to change a lot of things about your business. You're going to have to go to work. You're going to have to reorient your sales reps to do something else. And a lot of your customers are going to not want it anyways. You're just going to have to work. And then you go through another door, and the other door says, you don't have to change much. It's actually really easy. You can sell this online. People really care about the speeds and feeds of your printers, and they're going to want to they're going to want to talk to somebody about all these things, and print is really important, and what you do is really important. Well, you're going to want to listen to that, because the other conversation is uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. But that does, if I'm being honest, if we have, everybody's got frustrations and happiness and successes, and customers are successful, with e-commerce when they do it right. Make no mistake. But there's a frustration level when I see a lot of people in our industry saying, everything's okay. You can, they'll actually distract you by mm-hmm. saying, example, you need a new remote monitoring system. That's going to change everything. Mm-hmm. Won't change a thing. Doesn't matter at all. You need a new ERP system and life will be better. Really? Do you think your customer cares how you count the beans? Mm-hmm. They don't care, right? Mm-hmm. It's not going to make a difference to your business. But what it will do is make you think that what you're doing isn't the problem. That it's the tools you're using and the way that you're accounting for. So I find there are too many people in our industry that are that really are for the status quo, but are quietly saying everything's okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right? We know the disruption happening, and it's not okay.
Well, I think, I hate to say this word, but there's a lot of hypocrites in the Document Editing channel. All you got to do is look at their posts regarding politics, and then look what they post in real life. It's just the total opposite. They love the excitement and the boisterousness, and we're going to change the world. But then in their real life, they want to run and hide behind status quo. It is amazing, or surround themselves with all of this comfort. And I don't think there's anything comfortable about, in your case, when you went from a DCA player to an e-commerce player. And Norm, the one thing I'll give you credit for over this last decade is you just fine-tuned your e-commerce platform, because you knew that wasn't going anywhere. You didn't run around and start telling dealers, oh, by the way, we got a print management tool to go with it. And you didn't run around telling the dealers, yeah, we can teach you how to do production print. Let's talk about that. And you focused on e-commerce. And when dealers diversify, they have to find the experts in the space. Tell me some success stories that you have, and where are we at? I think you're doing a lot better in the IT space than you probably are.
Yeah, so one of the things that is important is, if a dealer comes to me today, again, one of the uncomfortable conversations that I have is print is not significant enough to start an e-commerce business with.
Mm.
What do I mean? Your customers don't do enough business significantly in print standalone in order for that e-commerce site to be successful. You must add IT products and
Mm-hmm.
other technology products to it. And the good news is we integrate with all the Ingram, TD Synnex, however, there's hundreds of thousands. I think 1.8 million products that you have access to, and that's what customers want to buy. An uncomfortable conversation, but they need to get into that. And the other part is once the infrastructure is there, it's how can I add value versus that if the default is Amazon,
Mm-hmm.
then you better be different. You better be how are you different? How are you better? What is your value proposition? Yeah, it's nice to say you're local and Amazon isn't. You can say, when's the last time you saw your Amazon rep?
Mm-hmm.
When's the last time somebody delivered, from that company and came and installed a product or took it back if it didn't work or offered you advice on what you should buy? You're different. What about a PO approvals process? Is there a way that, that if a company wants control, they can allow their employees to buy things, but they can also then say at the end of the day, I approve it or I reject
Mm-hmm.
that.
Just makes it easier.
Yeah, and so yeah, over the span of a decade, it hasn't been, for us, what else can we do besides, living in the e-commerce world? It's been how do we make e-commerce slowly, incrementally better, so that if they take those tools and then they wrap it around their own infrastructure and they make changes to their sales team and they make changes to their marketing and other sort of things, that they can then be successful. So yeah, those are things I think if we have added to the project, it has been probably, as you say, there's not a lot of companies out there that understand e-commerce and business to business, but then can also do some marketing. We can write email campaigns. We understand how to manage Google and analytics and other marketing tools that are going to be right for you and your business to help promote your e-commerce platform. So we kind of have now offered that, and so many customers don't just buy the e-commerce platform. They also leverage us for help to talk to their customers in a way that our experience says they want to be talked to when it comes to IT, technology, print, e-commerce.
Well, it's amazing to me. We start seeing. I think you put a little post out there that was kind of funny, but you were talking about you're going to blame Rick Lambert for all the noses you see on the videos. I thought that was kind of funny, and Rick's a good friend. But the reality of it is you got a whole industry that understands that they have to be in that digital landscape. I was kind of poking fun of our media. They're out there. Most of our analysts in our media don't even really have any kind of relevancy in the digital world. And so we're trying to get people in this digital world. They're doing a good job slowly getting there, but then when the customers actually see them and they want to stay in a digital world, they got to go to a website and fill out a form. I'm just
yeah, and that's my fun with Rick is it's one thing to be online, right? And it's important, sure, teach your sales reps how to be online. In my opinion, if you're trying to teach somebody that's 60, 65 years old, how to use LinkedIn because they haven't figured out how to use it in the first place, then I'm not a huge subscriber, and you can teach an old dog new tricks.
Yeah.
You don't teach your kids how to use TikTok and Instagram. It's pervasive. They just know it. So your employees should leverage that. And then the other thing that I think you bring up, which is important, is it's a digital landscape now. It's digital from the time I think that I need a product, whether it's a printer or a laptop, to then searching and then executing that buy proposition. And I think longer term, I don't think it's going to be successful if your plan is, do all this work and then maybe people go to your website and then to your point, you fill out a form so then I can see, a week later somebody's going to show up at your door and talk about your needs. That's not business at the speed of 2022. It's all one swing, one motion. I'm researching to buying, and yeah, use social media to get yourself top of mind so that the customer thinks that you're a legitimate source to buy, a laptop or a printer or a supply or a technology or a subscription, you got to be top of mind, and that's the job of social media. But if you think that you can then get them to go to your site and then fill out a form, well, one of the things we got into because we started looking at the numbers, Ray, is well, what do the analytics say? The analytics say that when 98% of the people get to a site, a page with a form on it,
they leave.
Abandon.
They go away.
Well, because you did all the and when you think about it, you did all this work, and you go to look at your own website. Any company that does this, imagine you go to the website and there's a button that says, printers, or laptops, and you click on it, and it's a form. It says, fill this out, tell us what you need, and we'll give you a call. And the customer's thinking, what? I went to Google. Google said that you were a good source for laptops. Mm-hmm. I clicked on a button and you had me fill out a form. And in the back of the mind is like, Amazon doesn't have forms. I just go there.
Well, Norm, you said a couple things. We were talking about the video things and the TikTok. You don't have to teach the kids and all that. And it would be really curious to know how many of these dealerships, when they're really getting into the nuts and bolts of deciding, I mean, the fact that they still have to make a decision to get into e-commerce kind of boggles my mind. But let's just hypothetically say there they are, they're in the conference room. And who's in the conference room? 55 and 65-year-olds, like you said. We got a whole bunch of sales reps that have been around forever, and they're threatened by it, and there's no one challenging anything. And then on top of that, you have a consultant that's supposed to be helping you get into e-commerce that's going to allow you to go right back to where you're comfortable. Well, let's just use it for a DCA and fill in toner orders for now. Let's go ahead and have them fill out the form for now. So all these things you're saying are 100% spot on, and I'm hoping today's episode not only challenges people a little bit, but my God, I mean, we got to stop thinking about doing this, and we got to do it. And I don't know if you charge dealers for this or not, but can they just reach out to you and get some advice from you and then go buy an e-commerce site from somebody else?
Sure.
Maybe they don't like you because you're too challenging. I mean, I got to face this every day. So
yeah, right. I think between you and I, Ray, the kind way of saying it is we're an acquired taste. Right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So I get it that, some of the things I say might not be, and are not necessarily for everybody. I'm happy to talk to anybody about e-commerce, right? And I'd even said when we started to see that there were some other, options available, and I would say this from Key Point, my point was well, finally there's some other people that
sure.
can come, it's like for me now, it's either binary. You're either into e-commerce or you're not, and if you're into it with me, right? Well, you think that there's other products out there that you can look at, but I still fundamentally believe that you can do lots of stuff online, but the vast majority of people want to go to a site, search, click and buy in one motion,
mm-hmm.
and if you don't allow them to do that on simple things, and you think that they're just going to come to you every once in a while when they have a complex problem, no, you need to offer all of these types of solutions. So yeah, I am happy to just pick up the phone, bug me, mm-hmm. say I don't think this is going to work. Challenge me. What do other people talk mm-hmm. to it? Sure, give me a call, and if you're interested, I'll put you in touch with some dealers. In fact, I'll share afterwards a link from one of the dealers we just did a case study.
Mm-hmm.
They're up over $50,000 a month and doing e-commerce transactions, selling different types of products, doing some marketing with us, understanding that, writing blogs. So as I'm fond of saying, there's many ways up the mountain. I know a way, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know a couple of ways. I don't know all the ways.
Sure.
But sometimes it's nice to have a guide, right? That's done it. Or you can say, or I'll try my own.
Well, Norm, the bottom line is, unless you, the person, have the passion to get to the damn top, you're never going to get there no matter how good the guide is, because you'll come up with an excuse to go back to where you're comfortable. And to me, that's been our industry's biggest problem. And, that's my passion to do what I do. I'm trying to make people freaking uncomfortable, so maybe they'll actually challenge themselves a little bit more. Norm, it's always great having you on. Hopefully we can, get these people, shake them up a little bit, because they all got to get there, because their competition, the OEMs, they're all there already, and they're taking away their customers every single day. And every one of us knows this: status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo, and I'll see you all tomorrow.